So welcome to a few ways with ink sprays video. So our current ink range contains 17 different colours. So we have a warm selection, a cool selection, and also some neutrals. As you can see, when you look at the colour in the bottle, it is a little bit different as it will spray onto your cardstock. So I do recommend popping a little bit of just a sample at the bottom of them so you can make sure that you're going to get the right colour that you want for your project. These are the colours that we do have in our selection at the minute. So we have Ruby Red, Coral Berry, Frosty Pink, Caramel Toffee, Warm Sunshine, Forest Glades, Frayed Leaf, Dusk, Ocean Waves, and this one is Sea Glass, as well as two purples, which is Lavender Fields and Soft Lilac. They are made to complement our ink colours as well. So these are the neutrals. These are the Antique Gold, Antique Silver, and this is the Iridescent. So it does make any piece of cardstock that you have into like a pearlized piece of cardstock. So it's really, really pretty. The colours that I've just shown you have all got mica in them apart from these two. So we have Jet Black and Pure White, and these are beautiful matte sprays. So as you can see, the black is on the white piece of card, which has nearly covered it, and the white is on the black one, which again has nearly covered that one as well. So when we look at the inks, you can see that they do have distinct colour families. We have a warm selection and a cool selection. So the warms are the reds and the yellows and pinks, and the cools are the greens and blues. The purples, on the other hand, can mix between the cools and the warms, so you can create beautiful backgrounds using them. I would recommend though that you don't mix colours that are complementary on the colour wheel. So the red with the green would make brown, and the green with the purple again would make brown, again with the purple and yellow that would make brown as well. So unless you're looking for a brown, I would not mix these colours together. So let's look at a couple of ways that we can use them. We can create a fine mist onto our background. To do this, just spray it away from the piece of cardstock that you want to use on your project. Also, you can create a more of a different kind of mist, so smaller droplets, larger droplets, by just spraying directly onto your project, and that's going to give you a different look as well. It's going to give you all different kinds of droplets and a more of a mixed look rather than the spray than before. The sprays also work really well with our stencils, so place your stencil down onto your piece of cardstock and spray through it. You can also mix the sprays together, so I've sprayed one first, which was the Coral Berry, and then I've sprayed the Lavender Fields on top, and they mix well together. So these are both from the warm selection because I've moved the purple into the warm for this example, and you can see that they work well together. Next up, you can use your ink sprays as watercolours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a little bit of the ink spray into a little bowl. You could just pop this onto your work surface if you wanted to, and you can use this to freehand watercolour if you want. So as you can see, I'm just using this with a paintbrush, and to make the colour lighter, you can actually just add some water in as you would normal watercolours. And also you can mix these colours together as well. So as with watercolours, you can mix them in a palette or also onto your work if you wanted to. I'm just adding some Warm Sunshine directly into the Forest Glades ink, and it's going to give me more of an olive or parrot shade when I do this. So as you can see, when I paint this down, it's much more of an olivey colour, and it's really, really pretty. So you can change the look and tone of your inks by just mixing them together. So as well as using them as watercolour just to freehand, you can use them to colour in your stamped images as well. So I just have a outline flower image from a stamp set, and I have heat embossed this using some white embossing powder, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to use it as I would normally some watercolour paint. So I'm adding some water down first and dropping in some of that pigmented colour. Now this is going to give me a beautiful watercolour effect when it has dried, but it also, because of the mica that is in the shimmer spray, it's going to give me a really beautiful shine as well. As well as watercolour paints, you can mix these colours together. So I've just added a little bit of blue to the purple that I had down. So this is going to give you lots of depth and shade and different changes into tones of colour when you do it this way. So you can see that we have created a different tone by just doing it that way. You can also stamp with these inks. This is one of my favorite techniques that you can do with it. And all I'm doing is I'm creating my own custom ink pad. The box that I'm using is the packaging from the Altenew medium acrylic block, so it's a really great size. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of kitchen roll. You could take a dry baby wipe if you wanted to, and I folded it over a number of times, and I've just made sure that it does fit in this box. You don't have to put them in a box if you don't want to, but I like to keep mine contained, and also I can reuse it again. I just shut the lid and then just ink it up again when I need it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to spray inks into my little box onto that piece of tissue that I've just placed in there, kitchen roll, sorry. And I'm using some lavender fields, ocean waves, and some forest glades. Now normally these three colours should not be mixed together because that green and that purple will make a brown. But because I have that blue ink in the middle, that's going to negate the rule that I made before, and they are going to be able to work together because the green and the purple do not touch each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stamp, and because this is the block that actually came in that box, I know it's going to fit in there perfectly. So all I'm doing is inking my image up, and then I'm going to stamp it down. You can see the mica on the top of that kitchen roll. So this ink that we've just created is going to be sparkly as well. So there is the impression. And also if you do ink your ink pad up a little bit more, you can get more of a thicker line when you do stamp it down. So it all depends on the amount of ink that you spray onto your little pad. As well as that, we can do another technique as well. We can colour embossing paste. So I just have a little bit of embossing paste here. You're going to just want to add enough onto your work surface that you're going to be using. And then I've added a little bit of spray. And then I'm just mixing these together. You do not need a lot of the spray to create a really beautiful colour with these. So I'm just going to mix it all up by smushing it down, moving it around, making sure it's all fully gone into that embossing paste, sorry. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to place a stencil down onto a piece of cardstock and then push my coloured embossing paste through the stencil. So I'm just going to add it through. You can see that you do not actually need a lot of embossing paste to cover the area that you do wish to cover. So I'm just scooping that along and pushing it in through the stencil. And then once we've done that, we're just going to remove the stencil off. You are going to want to wash your stencil and your palette knife before the embossing paste does set onto it, because it's a little bit more difficult to get rid of it that way. Another technique that you can use with the ink sprays is a little bit of ink smooshing. So you can do this with inks, with adding a little bit of water, but you can also do them with the spray inks as well, and you don't actually need to add that much water, if any, if you don't want to. So I'm adding 3 colours down. You can see that I've gone for colours that are next to each other in the rainbow, so I'm not going to be creating any browns. And there's me just spraying a little bit of water just to move it around a little bit more. And then I'm just going to take my piece of cardstock, pop it down on top of the ink that I have, and then lift it up, and this is going to give me a really beautiful background. And the fun thing about these is the backgrounds will never be the same. So here is the full collection of our ink sprays, and you can see all the beautiful colours that we do have. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this video and that it has given you a few ideas on how to use your ink sprays in a different way. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope you have a beautiful day. Bye bye.